Florida, the southernmost point of the continental United States, the peninsula that divides two oceans. This is the story of completely opposite territories. The Everglades that occupy a third of the state, the Keys that stretch 180 kilometers into the ocean, and coastlines that change shape with every hurricane. A state made more of water than land. We'll discover the northernmost coral reef in the Western Hemisphere, mangrove forests that purify billions of liters of water, and cities floating on sandy terrain. But Florida is above all survival. Category 5 hurricanes that redraw geography. Tropical temperatures and wild nature. Mass tourism and theme parks. Here, moreover, descendants of Spaniards, Cubans, Haitians, and American pioneers live together. Welcome to America's third most populous state, where nature reigns and man has learned to live with it. Miami. The Florida sun never really sets in Miami. It simply transforms into neon lights that shine in the night. Here, where the Atlantic meets one of America's most electrifying metropolises, every corner tells a different story. South Beach pulses like the heart of the city. Its beaches of finest sand stretch for kilometers, while the Art Deco buildings, which are those with geometric shapes and pastel colors from the 1930s, create a skyline unique in the world. It's like walking inside a vintage postcard that has come to life. Biscayne Bay embraces the city with its turquoise waters, dotted with white yachts. From here depart the ferries to the artificial islands where celebrities live, while the manatees, which are enormous, gentle marine mammals, swim among the mangrove roots. The Bayside Marketplace instead explodes with Latin life. Merengue, salsa, and reggaeton mix with the aromas of empanadas and mojitos. It's the crossroads where all Caribbean cultures meet, which have made Miami their home. Little Havana is the perfect example. Here, old Cubans play dominoes in the parks, while the aroma of coffee fills the air of the so-called Calle Ocho. And then there's Virginia Key, which guards more intimate and less crowded beaches, ideal for those who want to enjoy the Caribbean sun without the hustle and bustle of the main tourist areas. The Rickenbacker Causeway, finally, which is the bridge that connects the mainland to the island, offers breathtaking views of the bay, especially at sunset when the sky ignites with orange and pink. Miami is not just a destination, it's a total sensory experience, where South America meets the United States, creating something completely new and irresistible. Orlando. Think of Orlando, and surely Disney World or Universal Resort comes to mind. But this central Florida city hides much more behind the magic of theme parks. It's a metropolis that has managed to grow, maintaining its authentic character with modernity and nature that coexist in perfect balance. Downtown Orlando surprises with its skyscrapers, which reflect in the lakes scattered throughout the city. These are not artificial lakes, even though Florida counts over 30,000 of them, but they formed from natural springs and ancient depressions in the terrain, called sinkholes. Walking through the downtown streets, the contrast is immediate. On one side, there are ultra-modern buildings. On the other, majestic palms and century-old oaks, with that gray-green Spanish moss hanging from the branches, like natural decorations. Eola Park instead represents the green soul of Orlando and surrounds Lake Eola. The fountain in the center of the lake changes color every evening, creating a light show that reflects on the surface. It's here that Orlando residents come to jog at dawn, while herons prepare for their morning hunt. But the true magic of Orlando lies in its ability to make every visitor feel part of something special, whether it's a sunset over the lake or the contagious energy of its animated streets. Tampa. Tampa is the rebel of Florida's West Coast, a city that has transformed its industrial past into a vibrant and multicultural present. Overlooking Tampa Bay, this metropolis knows how to surprise those who expect only beaches and retirees. The Ybor City neighborhood tells the most fascinating story. Indeed, at the end of the 1800s, Cuban, Spanish, and Italian immigrants settled here to work in cigar factories. And today, those same red brick streets host restaurants where Latin and American flavors mix, while the aroma of Cuban coffee flows from bar windows. Busch Gardens Tampa Bay represents the other soul of the city. It's not just an amusement park, but an experience that unites pure adrenaline and nature conservation. The most extreme roller coasters in the American Southeast alternate with savannas where zebras, giraffes, and rhinos graze freely. Tampa Bay, furthermore, shines like a cobalt blue jewel dotted with green islands. Here, manatees swim among restaurant docks, while dolphins play in boat wakes. Jacksonville. Welcome to the most extensive city in the United States by surface area. Jacksonville stretches for over 2,200 square kilometers along the Atlantic coast of northern Florida. Here, the St. Johns River flows northward, dividing the city into two halves, connected by spectacular bridges. Downtown surprises with its modern skyline, but it's the diversity of neighborhoods that tells the true story. You pass from Riverside with its Victorian houses shaded by centuries-old oaks to the modern skyscrapers of the financial center. The beaches like Jacksonville and Neptune offer 35 kilometers of Atlantic coast, where surfers and fishermen share the waves. The famous pier, instead, extends into the ocean for 300 meters, becoming the meeting point for those seeking the freshest fish in the area. Jacksonville is the Florida that many don't expect. A metropolis that has managed to grow while maintaining the charm of the South and the freedom of the ocean. Fort Lauderdale. Forget the image of this city as simply a destination for university spring breaks. This South Florida city has reinvented itself as a sophisticated destination while maintaining its relaxed spirit intact. Fort Lauderdale's canal system is unique, with over 480 kilometers of navigable waterways, which have earned the city the nickname Venice of America. But here, instead of gondolas, luxury yachts, and colorful water taxis, navigate. Residential neighborhoods face directly onto the water, with private docks where million-dollar boats are parked like luxury cars. Las Olas Boulevard, instead, represents the city's new elegant area, with exclusive boutiques, art galleries, and gourmet restaurants, which alternate under tunnels of fuchsia bougainvillea leading directly to the beach. Hollywood, on the other hand, is the twin city to the south and adds an international flair with its Broadwalk, a brick-paved promenade that runs along the beach for over 4 kilometers. The intracoastal waterway, finally, separates the mainland from the barrier islands, creating an ecosystem where manatees and sea turtles coexist with boating traffic. Siesta Key. What makes a beach perfect? The answer is found at Siesta Key, where the sand is so fine and white, it looks like baby powder. This isn't just marketing, but the sand here is composed 99% of pure quartz and remains cool even under Florida's scorching sun. The island stretches like a crescent in Sarasota Bay, connected to the mainland by two bridges, which offer beautiful views of the emerald waters of the Gulf of America. Siesta Beach, on the northern tip of the island, offers almost 2 kilometers of coast, where the sand crunches underfoot like fresh snow. At sunset, when the sun dives into the Gulf, painting the sky orange and purple, hundreds of people gather on the beach for the daily ritual of applauding the sun. And it's a spontaneous ovation that erupts every evening when the golden disk disappears on the horizon. Clearwater Beach. Imagine a perfect Florida postcard. White as sand, crystal clear waters, and a contagious energy that makes you feel on vacation from the first instant. This is what Clearwater offers, with its beaches that pulse with life from dawn to dusk. Beach volleyball, parasailing, and families building sandcastles, while beach bars serve colorful cocktails. It's the epicenter of Gulf of America fun, where live music accompanies spectacular sunsets. But Clearwater hides a secret to the north, and it's Honeymoon Island State Park. Here, wild Florida takes over, with nature trails that cross pine and palmetto forests, while hawks and fishing eagles nest among the branches. The park's beaches are rich with shells, and dolphins play in the shallow waters of the lagoon. The contrast is truly magical. Indeed, in just a few minutes, you go from the liveliness of beach volleyball and beach bars in Clearwater to this natural paradise where the only sound is the rustling of waves and the song of seabirds. Cocoa Beach. Welcome to the surf capital of the East Coast, where Atlantic waves crash on 10 kilometers of golden sand. Cocoa Beach is an American icon, also because NASA rockets launch from here, from Kennedy Space Center, and it's not rare to see during surfing the glow of a space launch illuminate the horizon. Cocoa Beach Pier extends into the ocean for 240 meters, becoming the perfect spot for surfers and fishermen. Here, for those who don't know, the worldwide surf legend Kelly Slater was born, and still today, the waves of this place attract surfers from around the world. Despite the Atlantic water being cooler compared to the Gulf, constant currents guarantee perfect waves almost year-round. At dawn, when the first surfers glide on the waves, while pelicans fly over the deserted beach, is the moment when you understand why this corner of Florida has inspired generations of dreamers, surfers, and astronauts. Anna Maria Island. Seven miles of pure serenity in the Gulf of America, where time seems to have stopped in the 1950s. Anna Maria Island is the antidote to modern Florida chaos. No skyscrapers, only pastel-colored wooden houses and golf carts speeding on sand roads. The island divides into three small cities: Anna Maria, Holmes Beach, and Bradenton Beach. All three are united by the same philosophy, that is, that life should be lived calmly. Bean Point, at the northern tip, offers spectacular views of Tampa Bay, while the beach extends without any building ruining the horizon. Continuing, Anna Maria's City Pier, built in 1911, is one of Florida's most photographed historic piers. From here, fishermen cast their lines, while pelicans wait patiently, creating postcard scenes that repeat identically for decades. Daytona Beach. Engines roaring, sand flying, and 37 kilometers of coast where adrenaline is at home. Welcome to Daytona Beach, one of the few beaches in the world where you can drive your car directly on sand, which is compact like asphalt. This geological particularity, that is sand that contains quartz and compacts naturally, has made Daytona famous everywhere. Daytona International Speedway is the city's beating heart, where every February the quiet town is transformed into a motor circus by 200,000 spectators. Main Street Pier, furthermore, extends into the Atlantic, offering spectacular views and privileged points to spot dolphins. But at sunset, when engines fall silent, Daytona reveals its quieter soul, with families animating the pier and surfers riding the day's last waves. When evening falls finally, the skyline lights up with colored neon, while the city transforms into a nighttime stage, with music from venues resonating on the beach. Florida Keys. A string of tropical pearls floats between the Atlantic and Gulf of America, connected by one of the world's most spectacular roads. The Florida Keys are an archipelago of over 1,700 coral islets, which extend for 200 kilometers southwest of continental Florida, united by the Overseas Highway, which is a road that jumps from island to island through 42 bridges. Local residents love to call this land Conch Republic, in memory of the symbolic independence declared from the United States in 1982. And this rebellious spirit permeates every corner of the archipelago. Wooden houses on stilts have resisted hurricanes for generations now, and are painted in pastel colors, ready to reflect the tropical sky. In any case, the ecosystem here is unique. The only living coral reef in North America extends along the Atlantic coast, while the shallow waters of Florida Bay host manatees, dolphins, and sea turtles. Every key island has its personality in a world where flip-flops are formal attire, and happy hour begins when the sun touches the horizon. Key West. It's the southernmost point of the United States, just 90 miles from Cuba and 0 miles from happiness. Welcome to the last American frontier, where eccentricity is the norm and every sunset is a collective celebration. Key West is not just an island, but a state of mind that infects anyone who sets foot on this land of 7 square kilometers, surrounded by crystal clear waters. Duval Street pulses 24 hours a day with Caribbean rhythm, But it's also a laboratory of alternative life, where artists, fishermen, adventurous retirees, and cold weather refugees coexist in tropical harmony. Mallory Square, on the other hand, becomes each evening the stage for the most famous sunset in America. Jugglers, musicians, street artists, and tourists mix, while the sun dives into the Gulf, painting the sky with colors that no photograph can capture. It's here that you understand why Key West is called the island where everything is possible, a place where life flows to the rhythm of waves and every day is a tropical adventure. Isla Mirada. The 7-mile bridge stretches before you like a ribbon of asphalt suspended between sky and sea, with 11 kilometers of pure engineering crossing transparent waters. And you're right in Isla Mirada, also called the Purple Islands, as the first Spanish explorers named them for the colors they assume at sunset. This stretch of the Florida Keys is considered the world capital of sport fishing. The waters surrounding the islets hide tarpon, bonefish, and permit, which are 3 sought-after species that make these depths a paradise for fishermen. But there's also much more here. At Theater of the Sea, for example, you can swim with dolphins in natural lagoons. Or at Robbie's Marina, you can feed dozens of wild tarpon that approach the dock, in an experience that electrifies young and old. This is a tropical paradise reachable simply by car, thanks to the spectacular bridges that connect the islands to continental Florida. Fisher Island. There exists a place in Miami Beach where luxury reaches unimaginable heights and is accessible only by boat or helicopter. Fisher Island floats in Biscayne Bay like a private jewel of 216 acres, home to America's most exclusive residential community with an average income that surpasses every statistic. Once this was the private estate of Carl Fisher, the visionary who transformed Miami Beach from swamp to paradise. Today, instead, it's a world apart. There are golf courses, private beaches with sand imported from the Bahamas, and a marina where $50 million yachts seem like normal pleasure boats. But true exclusivity doesn't lie in numbers. But is walking on deserted beaches 10 minutes from South Beach chaos? Or dining in restaurants where you don't need reservations because tables never run out? Or even playing tennis on courts that host professional circuit tournaments? Fisher Island certainly represents the American utopia. A place where luxury commands but privacy is the most precious asset, surrounded by the turquoise waters that have made Miami famous worldwide. Peanut Island. Who would have ever said that an artificial island, created in the 1930s to dredge a lake, would become one of Florida's best-kept secrets? Peanut Island floats like a tropical oasis just minutes by boat from the coast, but seems like a world light years away from the polished luxury of South Florida. The island hides a piece of Cold War history with the nuclear bunker built for President Kennedy. But certainly more interesting are the nature trails that cross the island, where you can spot sea turtles that lay eggs between May and September. But it's on the surface that the island reveals its true magic, with white sand beaches that overlook crystal clear waters, perfect for snorkeling among tropical fish and corals. On weekdays, there's absolute peace, and the only sound is the rustling of palms and the cry of pelicans gliding on Atlantic currents. Destin. Do you know why they call this stretch of Florida the Emerald Coast? Just take a look at the waters that bathe Destin to have the answer. A turquoise so intense it seems painted, where the Gulf of America meets some of the planet's whitest beaches. The sand here is composed of pure quartz from the Appalachian Mountains, transported by rivers for millennia. The harbor is full of energy thanks to charter boats that depart at dawn, loaded with fishermen in search of the biggest fish that will make the day unforgettable. This is one of the best places in the world to fish giant swordfish, red snappers, and dolphinfish. Thanks to the proximity of DeSoto Canyon, which is an oceanic depression that attracts large fish just miles from the coast. The Destin Bridge, furthermore, offers wonderful views of the bay, but you must walk on the soft sand to understand why Destin is considered one of America's most beautiful beach destinations. Fort Myers. Edison and Ford couldn't be wrong. Indeed, when two of history's greatest inventors chose Fort Myers as their winter refuge, they knew they had found something special. The beaches stretch for kilometers with whitest sand, and sunsets ignite the Gulf sky every evening. The river flows lazily through the city, connecting Florida's interior to the Gulf. It's from here that cruises depart to spot manatees, which swim up the river seeking warm waters during winter months. Downtown, furthermore, surprises with its urban renaissance. There are historic warehouses transformed into art galleries, craft breweries, and gourmet restaurants. Finally, the famous pier extends into the water for 200 meters, becoming the meeting point for fishermen, families, and anyone who wants to enjoy the infinite panorama of the Gulf of America. Naples and Marco Island. Naples is the Monte Carlo of Florida. Discreet elegance, immaculate beaches, and an atmosphere that whispers luxury without shouting it. The streets are full of exclusive boutiques, art galleries, and gourmet restaurants, where wealthy retirees enjoy the good life. Walking the wide and orderly streets, flanked by perfectly aligned palms and villas that hide behind wrought iron gates, you breathe the essence of this city. Every corner, indeed, exudes that subtle refinement which distinguishes true wealth from ostentation, and where silence is broken only by the rustling of fronds and the discreet hum of golf carts. Furthermore, walking along the pier, you can observe fishermen casting lines, while at sunset everyone gathers for aperitifs with a sea view. But just kilometers away instead, Marco Island is a completely different story. Here, elegance gives way to relaxation, with beaches that stretch for kilometers, perfect for families and those seeking perfect shells. Tiger Tail Beach is a hidden jewel with secret lagoons where herons and roseate spoonbills splash. These places are therefore two worlds that coexist in perfect harmony. On one side, there's the whispered luxury of Naples. On the other, the authentic carefreeness of Marco Island, united by the golden thread of Florida sunshine. Sarasota. Art flows in Sarasota's veins like vital blood. This West Coast city has transformed culture into daily lifestyle, where world-class museums overlook sparkling bays. The historic center pulses with life on Main Street, which alternates art galleries with gourmet restaurants, while St. Armand's Circle, on the island connected by a bridge, offers luxury shopping in an exclusive resort atmosphere. Sarasota Bay, instead, reflects the changing colors of Florida's sky and is often rich with kayaks, paddleboards, or simply luxury yachts parked. But it's at sunset that Sarasota reveals its true magic. Siesta Key Beach lights up pink and orange, while its pure quartz sand, so fine it crunches underfoot, stays cool even on the most torrid days. It's precisely this perfect balance between culture and relaxation that makes Sarasota unique. St. Petersburg. Welcome to the city that holds the world record for consecutive sunny days. There were 768 days without a cloud from 1967 to 1969. And St. Petersburg has transformed this meteorological blessing into a spectacular urban renaissance, with colorful murals decorating historic buildings, and international art museums like the Dalí Museum, with its futuristic architecture housing the world's most complete collection of the Catalan artist. There's also St. Pete Beach that stretches south, or there's the Don Cesar Hotel that dominates the skyline with its Moorish architecture, or even Fort de Soto Park that preserves fortress remains surrounded by wild nature, with beaches considered among America's best. Finally, the pier overlooks Tampa Bay like a modern sculpture, with its spiral structure offering 360-degree views of the city and Gulf. And it's precisely this alternation of sun, art, and nature that makes St. Petersburg fascinating. Jupiter. Where the Loxahatchee River meets the Atlantic, rises one of the hidden gems of Florida's East Coast. Jupiter guards the state's most iconic lighthouse. It's a red brick tower, 30 meters high, which since 1860 has guided ships through the treacherous waters of the inlet. Climbing the 105 steps to the top offers magnificent views, spanning from the turquoise waters of the ocean to the green expanses of the interior. Jupiter is also famous for being home to some of America's most celebrated athletes. The Loxahatchee River, instead, flows through mangroves and is one of the few Florida rivers that remain completely wild. From Jupiter, it's also easy to reach Palm Beach, which is the elegant luxury island just 20 minutes south by car, where Worth Avenue offers exclusive shopping and dream resorts, precisely for those who want to alternate Jupiter's nature adventure with the glamour of the Golden Coast. Everglades. A river 80 kilometers wide that flows for 160 kilometers at a speed of 30 centimeters per day. The Everglades are not a swamp, but a river of grass that flows imperceptibly from Lake Okeechobee toward Florida Bay, creating North America's largest wild subtropical ecosystem. Here, silence reigns, broken only by herons' calls and the rustling of sawgrass, which dominates the landscape for kilometers. The hammocks, which are islands of dry land covered with tropical trees, emerge from the green expanse like oases. Anhinga Trail, instead, brings you face to face with alligators that float motionless like logs until they open their jaws to reveal rows of sharp teeth. But it's the 350 bird species that steal the scene. Indeed, there are roseate spoonbills, white ibis, and blue herons that fish while the sun filters through cypresses. St. Augustine. Founded in 1565, St. Augustine boasts of being the oldest European settlement still inhabited in the continental United States. Its stone streets tell stories of Spanish conquistadors, pirates, and seekers of eternal youth. The Castillo de San Marcos, a 17th century fortress, dominates the port, a silent witness to centuries of history. Spanish colonial architecture blends with Victorian influences, creating a unique urban landscape. Flagler College, once a luxurious hotel, amazes with its opulent interiors and Tiffany stained glass. St. Augustine is therefore a place where the past is tangible, from gas lanterns that illuminate the streets to the sound of cathedral bells. Every corner exudes charm and mystery. Tallahassee. The hills of northern Florida crown Tallahassee, which is the only American state capital built on true heights. Here, Florida shows a different face. Centuries-old oaks create green tunnels along roads that rise and fall gently, while the Capitol building dominates the city from its hill. Florida State University and Florida A&M instead make Tallahassee one of the South's liveliest university cities, where football weekends become festivals of 80,000 people. But during the week, the city reveals its more authentic soul with independent coffee shops, local markets, and that intellectual energy typical of university cities. Edward Ball Wakulla Springs State Park finally guards one of the world's deepest freshwater springs. Indeed, water flows at a constant 21 degrees year-round, while glass-bottom boats reveal underwater forests beneath the water. Sunshine Skyway Bridge. Four miles of pure engineering spectacle. Crossing the mouth of Tampa Bay, connecting St. Petersburg to Terracea. The Sunshine Skyway is not just a bridge, but a breathtaking experience where asphalt rises 56 meters above the waters to allow cruise ships to pass. The yellow pylons shine like beacons in Florida sunshine and are visible from kilometers away. During the crossing, the bridge reveals 360-degree views, spanning from the Gulf's infinite horizon to Tampa's skyscrapers, while boats under the bridge look like small, floating toys. The old bridge has been transformed into Skyway Fishing Pier, becoming two sections that extend into the bay like open arms. This, therefore, is Florida, a kaleidoscope of natural and cultural wonders that challenge imagination. And if you want to explore other fantastic places in America and around the world, choose from our playlist that you'll find here on the right.